How's everyone doing today? I realized a few minutes ago that I accidentally had the stream set up for 3:30 when I intended to go live at 3. So apologies for that. I can hear myself, so I think I'm good to go. But yeah, if anyone could confirm in the chat if everything looks and sounds good. How's it going, the Zard Hunter? Nice to see you in here. Daedalus Jack. I don't really have anything to show off too much. I mean, I do have a ton of graded slabs around me that I've gotten in recently. Maybe I'll periodically show if something comes up, if a question comes up that leads me to them. But yeah, I don't really have too much planned. I don't have anything on the website today. I've been giving it more thought on how I want to do that. Definitely not going to become a straight rip and ship stream by any means. But I think I might go ahead with like monthly. Once a month, I'll announce it at least, hopefully a few days ahead of time, if not like a week. But yeah, I'll probably do it in the evenings, East Coast time. I'll do a 3 or 4 hour stream once a month and just sell packs through the website if anyone wants to open. If and when it gets to where nobody wants to open, I'll just have mass packs of something that it makes sense to rip to open for singles or for grading for myself. But yeah, all I plan to do today is just hang out for the next 90 minutes till 4:30 p.m. Eastern, answer your questions, and that's about it. Stephen Home, how's it going? Sniffix X, hi, how are you? Alex bought into the break last week. I did send out for my first stream, my test stream. I sent out like an extra Hidden Fates pack with everybody who placed an order. Not something I'll be doing every time. Not something you should ever anticipate if you buy packs from my store. But yeah, I just wanted to show some extra appreciation for the successful stream one and test of the website. Yeah, Mr. Walrus, I'm half an hour early as per my originally scheduled time, but I don't know where my head was at. I just accidentally clicked the wrong time or had my internal schedule wrong. I wasn't gonna give people only an hour. I don't think I've ever done a live stream that short. Hour and a half is like the baseline. If it's a really busy day, really busy time, and I don't have anything in particular I want to cover or show, I'll default to just an hour and a half. And then, I mean, if it's not super busy in here, if a lot of questions aren't coming in, I'll just scale it back to an hour and end it at 4, I guess. Give myself half an hour at the end of the day. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Let's see. How's it going, Ancient Mew? Beerski collects. How long would y'all keep cards in a card saver / top loader to get rid of the curl? I guess part of it depends on how bad the curl is. I have some cards that are really, really bad. One of the worst I've ever seen is I had like a whole row, so almost 1,000 of them. The reverse hollow energies, the water ones from the Battle Arena decks years ago. I'm telling you, those things, I guess I could use one of my business cards to kind of simulate. But one of those things were like bent. They were bent in like a straight U almost, and I don't think those have any hope of ever coming back. So I do think that the curl can get significant enough that there's no going back. But general mild curl, light curl, I think put it in a card saver top loader. Either cram them into a box like fairly tight so they're pushing against each other, or put a couple textbooks on it, and you'll be straightened out. I don't know, a day, couple days. How's it going, Java? Crazy when looking back when you pulled a Zard in the live stream with no beard and how much different you look. I've been scared to shave mine for years for that reason, LMAO. Yeah, I've made a joke about like I'm kind of stuck with the beard now forever. If I ever shave it, whenever I shave it, people will be like, who's this guy? Where did Dan go? This guy's an imposter. It's funny, 32 years of my life, I had no beard ever, and then a couple months of it, and it feels like a part of who I am. It's weird. What's the card next to the Master Ball? Catch 'em all collectibles. Oh, there's a Bigfoot up there. There's a Bigfoot kind of hiding back in there. Yeah, it's not illuminated too well, but it's a sneaky little Kickstarter Bigfoot up there. How's it going, Wilt Chamberlain? Nice to see the little stars in chat. The perfect background while I finish some work. Hope everyone's having a great day. Appreciate you, Boondock Games. Hope you're having a great day as well. Rip and Shipper Riot. I don't have it set up. I did, just in case people actually really had the desire for it. Theoretically, I could rip and ship celebrations later. That's the only thing that is like semi-available to be set up. Fusion Strike, Brilliant Stars, all that stuff. I don't have any within arm's reach. I did recently. I bought 1,000 packs of celebrations. I love the set. Not really an investment, but I guess in some ways, like, you do invest in inventory for the longer term, right? Like, I intend to have it on Troll and Toad Evo. I intend to have it for the website for Rip and Strips when I do those monthly streams. So I'm speculating on it to an extent, right? I was able to buy 1,000 packs for $4.15 each, I believe is what I paid. And I'm contemplating getting like 1,000 more, because I think the price is pretty solid. Not from like a EV standpoint, not like mass ripping them myself to try to make money, but just the fact that they sell for like, I think that they're going for $6.50 towards $7 on TCG Player. I really love the set. What's my favorite Mewtwo artwork? The base set one is pretty boring, right? I mean, it is nostalgic because it's base set. The Shining Mewtwo is pretty cool. I'm just trying to think of like all the Mewtwo. The Expedition one, I believe it is. I'm trying to think if Mewtwo has... he definitely has an Expedition, and that one's really cool. I'm trying to think if he has Aquapolis or Skyridge. I don't believe so, but Expedition would probably be up there. There's tons of more modern ones probably that I'm not even fully up to speed on. I think like Unified Minds, he has some. He definitely has some in, Mewtwo EX from Ruby and Sapphire. I'm really bad. I've mentioned it before, but I'm really bad at picking favorites. Maybe I'll just go with the Expedition one. Can I schedule a live bread making demo? Yeah, we were talking about bread machines, and I was talking about like making pizza dough. There was a lot of talks going on earlier in Pokenomics Discord that always interesting in there, right? I mean, Pokemon is where we all have overlap. We have that overlapping passion. But then it's kind of interesting. I guess there's two ways. Like, my non-Pokemon friends in real life, it's occasionally interesting to talk to them about Pokemon, to get the Pokemon angle from non-Pokemon people. But then it's also, like, in a Pokemon community, to talk about sports, to talk about making bread, making pizza dough, talk about general life things that you don't really have that overlap with, but you get the opinions and the perspectives of people in the Pokemon sphere. So yeah, interesting little conversation from this morning. Japanese Game Boy, Mewtwo easily the best. Don't at me. That is a good one. What's the best way to ship packs to PSA? So I don't know that it's the best way, but it's the way that I've always done it. I can show you here with a Celebrations pack because I should have all the required stuff near me. There's one. So the way that I've always done it, probably better to use the desk cam here. Let me switch to the desk cam. I use a card saver. I don't put the pack in the card saver. I just use the card saver as like a backing. And then I put it inside one of the graded card sleeves. So yeah, the card saver just provides some rigidity, and then yeah, you just seal it like that. It can't really go anywhere, do much of anything. And then I put these, just like I do with the cards. Once I have that in there, I put these inside of I should have one. Let me see. Inside of these boxes, so you can fit like I don't know, you can fit 100 or 200 cards in here, or like 190 cards maybe, because they get a little thick once they have cards in them. But once you have the pack in there, you can probably fit 50 or 80 or 100 packs in there. I don't know how many it is. Part of it depends too. Like the Celebrations packs are a lot thinner than a regular pack. So yeah, that's the way that I ship packs. The Thrifty says don't ship them to PSA. That one is sick, but I gotta go Expedition. Yeah, Expedition is what I had said too. I think that's one of the solid ones. Use a dehumidifier for the significant curls. Science. Yeah, I mean, humidity is largely the reason why they get like that. So a dehumidifier to undo it would make sense. But like I said, I have some cards that I think are beyond repair. At some point, I'll just have to sell them in bulk the way they are. Thank you, Ghost Coast. How's it going, Toasty? John K. The Zard Hunter dropping the emojis in here. There is a join button below if you care to get some the emojis like the Zard Hunter showing off in here, and the nice star badge he's got going on. Did I grab any of the Squishmallows that GameStop put up today? I didn't get tagged in anything. I didn't see in Discord anywhere that anybody mentioned it. I'll probably end up picking up some as long as I can get them for retail. But I'm not as big of a fan of those as I am of the Sitting Cuties, but I'll probably end up with some eventually, I'd imagine. Alex never opened up any celebrations. Mr. Walrus says, put every item in your backdrop for sale on the site. Let the people own history. But most of the things in my backdrop are actually actively still for sale on PokemonCenter.com. I guess they're just not the specific ones that I've owned. I believe that's the historic nature that Mr. Walrus is talking about. Alex says shame. I don't know if that's shame over never having opened celebrations or the curled cards. Thrifty says bid 450. Mr. Walrus is bidding 475. Let's see. How's it going, PokeKid? Alex says, outside of your Pokemon related stuff, what do you do in your free time outside of CCG/business stuff? Travel is one thing. My wife and I have a lifelong goal of visiting all 50 states together. In my childhood growing up, I had visited dozens, I would say. Not like 3 dozen, but maybe 20 to 24 if I had to total them all up. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we actually have one of those. It's actually like a scratch off thing. It's a map of the US, all 50 states, and you scratch the state off as you travel to it. So we created the goal to travel together. So any states that I've independently traveled to on my own, I've not scratched off. We're scratching them off together as we travel to them. So as of right now, she came to Denver, so we did Colorado. We've done like New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. We've done Vermont, Florida. We've done a lot of the easy Northeast, East Coast ones. But yeah, eventually all 50 states is a lifelong goal. So that's a bit of a hobby or a passion, I guess. And with kids, like kids are 90% of my free time outside of Pokemon. That's just the way it is. As they get older, they'll get more independent and I'll be able to get back into my own previous hobbies. But I enjoy sports a lot. I enjoy watching and playing sports. Used to play like pickup games of softball. Those got weird with having kids and COVID and all that. But yeah, playing golf, playing basketball, playing pickup volleyball, kickball, softball, things like that. Happy 2023. Hope everyone's year is off to a good start. Same to you, PokeKid. Mr. Locknut also asking, I did not yet buy any Squishmallows, but I'm sure I will eventually. Do you think vintage set design and pull rates could work for modern sets, i.e. 2 rarity levels, hollow/non, 1/3 pull rate, smaller sets, etc., or has the market just moved past that? It's hard to say. It would be interesting. I think it wouldn't fare well. I think the 1 in 1,000 pull rate, clearly, you see what Moonbryon is doing right now. There are, 3,000, 4,000 in the pop report, and it's a 1 out of 1,000 pull rate. If the premier chase of a set went back, like base unlimited Charizard was 1 out of 45, there's 16 hauls in that set, but Machamp isn't in the pack, so it's 1 out of 15 times 1 out of 3 for the pull rate. So if the premier chase in a set was 1 out of 45, say Moonbryon was 1 out of 45, that's a multiplier of like 20 times less rare, right? So instead of the pop being 3 to 4,000. I mean, less would get graded because it would be more accessible theoretically. I don't think you'd just 20x the pop report to 60,000, but you'd have tens of thousands surely. So I think it would, the prices would be a lot more affordable, I guess. The chase card wouldn't be $500 if you could just pull one out of 45 packs. But yeah, I guess it would take some thought to fully get into all the ramifications of that. That could be its own entire video, I guess, too. But there's some quick thoughts for the live stream I can hit you with. Mr. Walrus is tapped out as max bid. Ruby Sapphire Mewtwo reminds me of Smash Melee Mewtwo. Not tax advice. Mr. Walrus is throwing up there. Shining Lead, that's a good one too. That's a good shout right there. The Mewtwo GX from Shining Legends is a solid one. That one didn't even come to mind initially, but that is a really solid one. I was around when Shining Legends came out. I really like that set too. I like Celebrations a lot more. I just like the way they did it. I like the way that it was the first achievable set to fully pull yourself in like the recent era. I opened 200 packs of Celebrations and I opened every card. I never have and probably never will again if they stay with the current pull rates, open an entire set. Like I hadn't opened an entire set myself since Phantom Forces. In that one, I didn't even open a like a master set because I opened 2 cases, I believe, of Phantom Forces. I pulled all the regular set, probably multiples of most, but not all. And then there were still a few reverse hollows I was missing, though, if I remember correctly. So even then, it wasn't super easy to open everything. How's it going, Droopy? Yeah, Mewtwo is awesome. Appreciate you, Shadowless Jack. So when will you be playing Rusty in a game of Horse for a pallet of Crimson Invasion? The public wants to know so we can buy tickets. I've heard people throw around the idea of doing like a PokeTuber charity basketball game or something. Maybe Charlotte Collecticon. Something will end up being put on at Rusty's basketball court. We'll have to see. Unfortunately, like when I was younger, I did play basketball. I played basketball. We called it biddy basketball. And that started in 3rd grade. That was obviously on like shorter hoops and smaller courts and all that. But I played from biddy basketball all the way up to like through high school. And then in college I played on like intramural. I didn't play it on the actual team, but I played intramural. So I've always played basketball, but I wasn't tall in high school. I got my height like freshman year of college, basically between graduation of high school to sophomore year of college. I just grew like another 5 or 6 inches out of nowhere. And yeah, so I went from playing shooting guard, point guard in high school to being like, yeah, you're the tallest guy on the team. You're going to be the center. I didn't even know how to play down low. So yeah, and I haven't been playing like when we went to Rusty's last year, that was the first time I had shot a basketball in 3+ years, probably just because of COVID and kids. And yeah, it's, the Zard Hunter's asking which one is better, Universal or Disney World. I guess that's a little unfair, right? Because you're comparing, is Universal 1 park or 2 parks? Disney World is like 3 or 4 parks. Epcot, Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, and I think there's one more. But I'm not crazy about either as far as like for the rides. I think for the experiences, there's a lot of like nostalgia there. There's a lot of things going on. I'm looking forward though. My wife and I are actually going to do Disney. We're going to do Animal Kingdom Friday because we went to Disney in 2017. We were down there for a wedding, so we did a few days in Disney and we did Universal. The rides are like not anything crazy. Some of the rides are all right, but the lines are so long relative to, I mean, I live up in the New England area. I live in New York. We have like, we have Darien Lake, Six Flags Darien Lake. There's Six Flags New England, not too far. There's, what's the one in New Jersey? I forget what the one in New Jersey is called, but then Cedar Point in college, I took a road trip out with a bunch of buddies to Cedar Point, and the rides there are so much better. So there are way better rides outside of But yeah, it's still cool. The experience is all that. I'm really looking forward to the future where my kids are old enough to go and enjoy it, kind of like I did when I was younger. To me, I probably enjoyed Disney World more when I went the first time in 1998 when I was 8 years old. Pre-Pokemon. That was pre-Pokemon Dan that went to Disney for the first time. That was probably the time I had peak enjoyment. But I think that will hopefully be surpassed when I go with the family when they're the appropriate ages for that, I guess. Um, are there confirmed reprints for Sword Shield yet? I'm not like super engaged with my distributors as far as talking with them on a regular basis. And I know a lot of people that are in the same space. I think they have more frequent engagement and more direct engagement with their sales reps. Uh, I have heard, I mean, I can't say 100% confirmation, but in my video on Monday, I did show that post that Pokemon made. The generic post that they made, I can actually pull it up on screen. But they made the post originally in 2020 about card availability and the fact that they'd reprint some things to demand, they'd reprint it with max capacity, all that stuff. I'm sure I'm going to throw it up on screen real quick, but I'm sure everybody's seen this by now. They updated it 1 day ago per this. Let me see if I show this where it goes. But yeah, it'll kind of appear to the side of me right here. We're aware that some fans are experiencing difficulties purchasing certain Pokemon trading card game products due to high demand. We're working to address it where it's within our control. We're actively working to print more of the impacted products as quickly as possible and at maximum capacity. So this was originally posted in 2020, and then it was periodically reposted throughout 2020, 2021, and then as recently as yesterday. And I think it was Pokemart USA. Mason, Cardinal Gaming, was actually on. I think Pokemart hit 5,000 subscribers recently. So he had a stream with Mason, and I think he had a recent video, or maybe he talked about it in that stream, where he heard from his distributors. I think he more actively engages with them, like I was saying. End of February, early March. And to me, like, it only makes sense. It only makes sense that we're going to get them. So I'm not going to say 100% confirmed, but I think it's fairly logical to have assumed they were always going to be coming to some extent. Some of these people's confidence in, oh, it's definitely not going to happen. Yellow border, silver border is never going to happen again, blah, blah, blah. I don't understand how people get so confident. Clearly, I think one thing that leads people to overconfidence is just confirmation bias. They make a wild guess at one point or another, and then they end up being right. Just because you're right doesn't mean that the logic that led you to it was right or proper, and doesn't mean that it was a high likelihood scenario. Being right one time and kind of thinking that you're always going to be right and all your presumptions, assumptions, whatever, are just going to always work out and pan out that way. It's a dangerous territory, I guess. Hey Dan, is it true that there are only 1,000 copies of some of the PokePark cards, or have I misunderstood the info on Bulbapedia? I am honestly not positive on the PokePark cards. Let me look up a document that was made on E4 some years ago. It's called the Master List of the Rarest Cards. Let me see if PokePark comes up on there. PokePark. I don't see PokePark mentioned in this document at all. What this document was, it was trying to just track all the cards that had less than 1,000 print run, known distribution. I would imagine that they wouldn't have missed PokePark if there were only 1,000 of some of those. So yeah, first guess, and that's all it is a guess, is that it would be higher. But I'm not positive on that. How to invest in the Pokemans, Dan? Don't say Pokemans in front of Jamal Williams, because he'll let you hear it. Uh-oh. We got any wrenches in chat? I almost just clicked add moderator. But yeah, I just hid the bot. I don't know what happens if you accidentally turn a bot into a moderator. That's probably bad news. So Swami says, charity hockey game, I'm in. Playing against Dan in basketball, I'm out. I woke up one day and my jeans were too small. Yeah, I think I went from, what was I wearing? 34 32s to 36 36s. Now these days I'm probably more pushing like 38 36, putting on too much weight. Drew says, thanks mods. That was me. I got a wrench in chat who's slacking. Swami with that wrench, but he's slacking with it. Drew P's so short, he's not even allowed to watch basketball. Yeah, I can't wait for Charlotte. I'm let me pull up the Collecticon schedule. Let me just double check it and make sure. But I mean, barring any unforeseen circumstances, I'm 100% going to Orlando in February. I guess I can just throw it on screen so people can see it if they want to. But yeah, here's the schedule for Collecticon. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, I'll be going to Orlando. I already have a section. Nick has a section as well. We have 2 sections for Orlando, 1 section for Dallas. So again, barring any unforeseen circumstances, I'll be going to Dallas as well. And then out of the remaining 5, I intend to go to 1, potentially 2. I'm leaning fairly heavily towards Charlotte, just because it seems like I've heard quite a few other people say they're going to go to Charlotte. Denver was a blast. Swami in the chat. Denver might be one that I end up doing, but with how close it is to Charlotte, it's just tough to say definitively. If I were to do Denver, I'd almost rather do like Long Beach and then Denver instead of Charlotte, just because not so much the cost, just more the time and time away from family, all that stuff. Traveling 3 weeks apart to Charlotte and then Denver would just be a little bit like tighter than I'd like. My goal in all future years, I see the Collecticon videos like starting to go and it's making it look real weird. There we go. I kind of cropped it out. But whoa. Yeah, so Long Beach. I mean, Long Beach would be cool. It's just a lot further travel, I guess. Denver's a bit further too. Me being in New York, Long Beach is Charlotte is pretty close. You're talking about less than a 2-hour flight, which is really nice and convenient and a little bit cheaper. Plus Rusty's there. Maybe do the whole four-wheeling session again, the ATV session, and around the basketball court. But yeah, I'm 90% on Charlotte. If I don't do Charlotte, it might turn into Long Beach and Denver or something like that, but we'll have to see how it goes. The way that Collecticon tables are selling out, you really have to be proactive. You have to be on your game. When they drop the tables, the vendor info, you have to be there ready to go because they've been selling out really quickly. I heard that we will know about what Sword and Shield sets will be getting a reprint in the next week or so and hit distributors in late February. I heard this from Pokemart that it will be a decent size. That's exactly what I heard too. I forget if it was in the live stream. I watched a little bit of the live stream with Mason, and then occasionally I see some of his videos recommended. I don't watch all his videos, but I definitely watch a couple of them here and there. Let's see. What is a difficult thing you had to watch unfold / had to do in the hobby? Selling a card you wanted to keep, watch people fight over cards, losing a bid on your card you really wanted, something else. Difficult thing I had to watch unfold. 2020 was easy on the bank account. It was easy to sell $7,000, $6,000 base unlimited Charizards, $1,000 Pikachu's EVs, but it was a little bit painful, some of the messages that I got. I had some people buying from me a $1,000 EV saying, what do you think of the long-term prospects for this card? And that was just a really weird dynamic. Like, I didn't have a YouTube channel at the time. If I did, I would have been saying the same things I'm saying now about how insane that all was. The thing is, though, I would have started saying that when it hit 250. And even today, it's 150 to 200. So, same thing with evolutions. When it first hit 200, I would have said, this is crazy. And then it would have doubled. And I would have said at 400, this is crazy. And then it doubled again at 800. And it's still like 700 today, if I remember correctly. I think it peaked over 1,000. But yeah, I had too many people were buying from me, asking me how good of a buy they thought it was. And my short answer to them was, you're buying it for 1,000? I'm selling it for 1,000. And I didn't know if it was going to double again. It could have doubled again. It could have gone to 2,500. It could have gone, who knows? But I knew eventually, you can never know 100%, right? But I was quite certain that we were in a bubble, and I was quite certain it was going to go down drastically. It only went down 80%. I say only, strange thing to hear, strange thing to say. But to me, it still kind of surprises me that that card's like a $200 card, the PSA 10 Jungle Pikachu. So that's where I need to be careful in what I say, because if I had said anything, I would have said it was too expensive at 200 in early 2020 on the way up, and it 5x from there, and then it only fell 80% from there. If I had to guess, back in 2020 when we were at 1,000, I thought the bubble was gonna pop and it was gonna go all the way back down to 50. Maybe it still will. Maybe we're not all the way there. But yeah, the fact is today it's holding at $200 with significantly higher pops and all that. So it's hard to say. But that was difficult. That was difficult to have people messaging me, especially months after the bubble popped. I mean, I sold my complete PSA 9 Shadowless Hollow set. I don't even know what it would cost today to assemble, but I sold it for $35,000. And that person specifically reached out to me. They had put hundreds of thousands of dollars, including high five figures with me personally, as an investment. They were putting in as an investment. And all I told them on the way up when they were buying from me, I said, I'm selling at this number. I bought at way lower, way long ago, and I'm happy to sell at today's prices. And future value, I don't know. That's all I would tell them. So yeah, that was kind of tough. But morally and all that stuff, I didn't tell them to buy it. If I had a YouTube channel, I would have been telling them not to buy it. If only there was a mod that's a chat goat shaking my head. Ask and you shall receive, Mr. Walrus. Mr. Walrus, type in chat. Sorry, I had to sneeze, but it wasn't coming out. I hate that feeling. Let me see. Now I forget where I was at, and I feel like I have another one coming. But yeah, Mr. Walrus, you should have a fancy new wrench in chat if you want to try that out. Appreciate you, Ernesto. Ernesto joining the membership, getting the fancy badge. Ernesto is the thumbnail goat. Sorry, Ernesto, I apologize in advance at the 4 emojis I've created myself in Canva. I actually just this morning, just about 5 minutes before the live stream, I'm like, hey, Ernesto, what do I gotta pay you to get some emotes? So hopefully the thumbnail goat will soon be working on some new emotes. So yeah, we'll see. We got okay. Let me hit Java's question first, but then we got a funny question in chat. Question, would you have made the decision to go full-time if you were single? I've been struggling wrapping my head around when the time would be right, but it feels so risky. So that's a really good question. I've mentioned before my position where I'm fortunate to have a wife who has a job, a stable job, good stable job that brings in about what we spend annually for our household. So finance side is one of them. Given that I live in the United States, this might sound weird, strange. I'm sure international folk know of this, but there's a lot of countries international where healthcare is like just a given, right? You get it just for living in the country. We don't have that in the US. So healthcare, if you're older than 26, not living with your parents to be able to be on their healthcare, that's a tough consideration. I am not super knowledgeable on it because it didn't apply to me. I timed it very well in that I stayed on my parents' healthcare until I was 25, and then while I was 25, I married my wife and jumped onto her healthcare. For a bit there, I mean, getting deeper than I need to, but she was on maternity leave after our first child, so we actually went on to mine at that time. But just the way my life is timed out, I was on my parents' and then my wife's healthcare. I mean, a lot of people my age, a lot of people younger, they kind of just go without healthcare. Me, just the way I am, my risk tolerance, all that, I would never advise going without healthcare. I would never have been comfortable personally going without healthcare. So that said, as I said, I'm not an expert on it. I've not dove into it too deep because it doesn't apply to me. There are options though. I live in New York. I think it's a state by state thing. So depending on what state you're in, there are like healthcare exchanges where you pay a rate based on your income, I believe. And depending on how your income is, it can be subsidized to an extent. So if I was single, I guess long way of saying I don't know for sure. But I would have looked into it more. I would have dug into it deeper. I would have become somewhat of an expert on the New York Healthcare Exchange. And I'm sure that there would have been a workable solution for me to get healthcare and be self-employed. Maybe the numbers wouldn't have made sense. Maybe it would have been too cost prohibitive. But yeah, so I guess the answer is maybe. I would have had to figure out how much health insurance would have costed me though. I believe you can get pretty reasonable. I do know some self-employed individuals whose wives are stay-at-home moms or whatever the case may be, and or they're just solo, right? They're self-employed individuals with no spouse who do their own healthcare through the exchange. And from a couple anecdotal things that I've heard, there are reasonable options, especially for like a high deductible catastrophic type plan. So yeah, pretty long answer there, but I think it's a really good question and it's really applicable. I appreciate you. Let me get this one shared. Toasty699 joined the membership. 99 cents a month. You get the nice little star badge next to your name. You get some nice emojis to use. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone for watching anyways, whether you're a member or not. But yeah, I appreciate the support. Scalper TCG says, why are people complaining about dudes opening Crown Zenith early? They sound like little. I am not a huge fan of people getting product significantly early and opening it, especially when theft's involved. I guess you can never really know whether it was theft or whether it was Walmart stocked a shelf too early. If it's Walmart stocked a shelf too early and people are just buying it and then selling it, what can you do about that, right? There's no harm, no foul. Like, it was Walmart's fault. If Whatnot allows it on their platform, like I could see Whatnot taking the stance that you can't sell anything before release date. They seem to not have that stance. I'm not too familiar with it. But yeah, if it's stolen product, I mean, I understand the issues with that. And that's all I guess I can say, because I don't know enough about the situation. I haven't followed too closely. I don't know whether it's confirmed stolen or whether it's just like, yeah, it got stocked on the shelf too early. But Java will definitely be at Charlotte. Good to hear that. Jam 510 wants me to come to Long Beach. It could happen, but I'm like 90% Charlotte, and maybe I'll end up to where like I said, maybe I'll do Long Beach, but we'll have to see. Orlando's going to be a blast. Denver was a blast, and I think we have more people. We had one section. Old School booked a section in Denver. So as far as tables go, we have 2.5 sections. Weedle's Warehouse got a half section. Myself and Nick got full sections. So we have 25 tables worth of people at Orlando. Safe Lotions within driving range of Charlotte. David Asplin says, follow up to my previous question. What is one of the most joyful memories you have from the hobby? As far as personally, my own individual joyful memories, Vegas was awesome. Going and opening a Shadowless Charizard in Vegas was awesome. Going to Worlds 2019 in DC, buying that trophy. Those are like the more personal, kind of like more selfish memories, right? Just me interacting with the hobby with like alone. Some of my best memories though, just meeting the people at the Collecticons, meeting the people at Worlds 18 and 19. So, and then another one that's like a continual basis. I showed recently, I think I still have them within arm's reach. I need to get them on the wall though, right here. It'll be off screen. But like my son is really getting into Pokemon, and he recently like made me some custom Pokemon cards. We, yeah, right here. My son made me some custom Pokemon cards. He put the hit points and the attack on them. He used some stickers for the Pokemon themselves. Interacting with my kids though. I've got my Quaxley shirt on. Both my kids have their own Quaxley shirts. They've got Quaxley plushes. They've got my daughter has a Piplup and a Charmander sitting cutie, and then my son has a Riolu and Lucario. So yeah, just the experiences I'm creating with them, the memories I'm creating with them are really rewarding. Um, we did the advent calendar through December, and every morning, every afternoon, whatever. I guess when it was a work day, we did it in the evenings, but on weekends we did it in the mornings. He was always so excited to go. Hey, let's go do the advent calendar. Let's go do the Pokemon. Do the Pokemon. He'd open up the advent calendar. He get the pack or the coin or the card, whatever it would be. And then we had not only the advent calendar, we had the ornament thing. It was basically like a pop-up tree, and every day you put a different ornament on it. There were 24 ornaments, eight generations, three starters each. There was an ornament for each starter, and then the 25th day was like a Pikachu ornament that you put on your tree. So all of December was just awesome, engaging with my kids with the advent calendar stuff. That was cool. Um, I forget which section I am. Oh, you guys must be with Nick. So section 71. If that's my section, section 71 is the place to be for sure. Uh, man, I'm getting further behind in chat than I would have expected. Good thing I didn't have anything to open or show off. Sorry, Ernesto. I originally scheduled it for 3:30, and then I 5 minutes before 3 o'clock, I revised the schedule to 3:30 or to 3. I mean, be at the Charlotte one. Thoughts on Coca-Cola Zero? I don't like. I don't know if I've ever had Coca-Cola Zero, so maybe I shouldn't knock it till I try it. But I've never had a diet soda I've liked. The aftertaste is what gets me. The aspartame or whatever, or the sucralose. I do know that I do drink Arnold Palmer's occasionally, and they do have some amount of sucralose. I think to lower the calories, not get to zero, they do like half sugar, half sucralose. Not crazy about it. I wish it was just sugar. But yeah, not a huge fan. But somehow the blend that Arnold Palmer does somehow makes it work. Bizarre Hunter says diet soda sucks. Will Moonbreon go to 10K if no reprint comes? Yeah, that's quite the question. I don't believe Moonbreon will ever be 10K. Inflation adjusted or not. That's just a massive number. I could be wrong though. I've been wrong before. If you would ask me in 2020, early 2020, would Pikachu ever be 1,000? Would base unlimited Charizard ever be 7,000? Would evolutions ever be 1,000 a box? I probably would have said no to all those. So it shows what I know, right? Um, Ian Toomey says, when 25th anniversary UPC came out, I got one at a Target on a restock, and a 50-year-old man threatened to put my teeth through my gums if I didn't give it to him. Ha ha ha, no joke. I mean, he's 50, so you probably could have outran him. I would have just ran. Just ran and see how it worked out. uh, let's see. Yeah, Brandon says, thought I was going to be on time. Turns out I'm late. I'm sorry. I originally scheduled it for 3:30. I posted an Instagram story at like 3:25 saying that I revised it up. You got to know, if I ever schedule it for 3:30, I screwed up. It's always going to be 3 at the latest because I never do under an hour and a half live stream. It's always going to be, so if I schedule for 3:30, just assume 3. I did it wrong. I'm always going to start like no later than 3 because yeah, I can't go under 90 minutes. We're already halfway through my 90 minutes, and I haven't even gotten through much. What do you think about the long-term prospects? I'll let you know after your payment clears. Yeah, 2020 was wild. Yeah, Alex covering it up. Zard Hunter, Mr. Walrus, Star Gang. Oh, Brandon had a meeting at 3, so wouldn't have made it regardless. Ernesto says, I joined Rip Me Celebrations packs, please. I do have 1,000 packs. I mean, I fully trust the guy that I bought them from. He said he was mass breaking down tins. I will open 10 of these and send the hits to Ernie for doing my thumbnails. And for he hasn't done them yet, but hopefully prepayment for doing some new emotes for anyone who wants to join. We got a new supporter. Let me throw that up there. Brandon Baker, appreciate you, new member. Test out your terrible emojis in the chat. What is your success rate on buyers purchasing second chance offers on unpaid auctions? I don't do auctions. Years ago, when I did auctions, low. I would never do second chance offers because it just feels bad. If you send second chance offers to people, they probably assume you showed your own item, even if you didn't. So I had done them once or twice back in the day, and then having that like thought come to my mind, I never used them. So that's my thought. Reprint only going to be Silver Tempest and Lost Origin, other sets out of print. I haven't heard that. If you've heard that somewhere, that's interesting. No worry, Brandon. I'm sure the Squishmallows, if I don't get them, I don't get them. That's fine. I was thinking about buying one for my niece for Christmas, but that's past now. We'll see. Let's see. How low do you think Evolving will go after reprint? Under 100, I feel like Pokemon is going to dump so much, it's going to retrace so much. I'd be surprised if it goes under 100. I mean, there is precedent, right? It was a different time, but Wrong Skies was over 300, and it went to sub 100 after the reprint. If it's big enough, people don't believe this. I'm going to say this, and some people aren't going to like it. People don't believe that it's possible for Evolving Skies to go under 100. If they print 5 million boxes, 10 million boxes, and just dump them on every distributor worldwide, it can go sub 100. I don't think they will, though. If I had to guess, if I had to put a number on it, I think we see 150 upon reprint. That's a complete guess, though. The reprint could be so small. Say that my distributor only gets a pallet or 2 pallets, or I don't even know what they normally get, but say they get 2 pallets. I might only get a case, and it probably won't come at $86.50 in that case. They'll probably charge me like $180, and I would pay $180. If the reprint was so small that I was only getting 6 boxes and they charged me $180 a piece, I would buy them all at $180 and it wouldn't dip below $200, $250. But if they tell me you can have as much as you want up to some silly number, 30 cases, 180 boxes. I've never ordered that much of a set from one distributor all at once. If they told me I could have that at $86.50, I would take all of it. And the price would crash sub 150, I'm sure, if the reprint was that size. Sub 120 maybe, sub 100, sub 100 it seems very, very unlikely. I guess I would give sub 100 a 5% chance. I would give sub 150 50% chance, and then sub 200 like a 90% chance if it gets reprinted. I mean, it could not get reprinted, right? So we don't even know that. Now I have to give all new percentages to will it get reprinted or not. Marrying into healthcare confirmed a good play for sure. Token Fun has been on their own with healthcare since 17. These new laws have to be a much easier helping start for people. Absolutely, yeah. Wait, Charvy with the diss against the U.S. Wait, why do you have to pay for healthcare? Do you live in a third world country? Let's see. Naron Ice says, "Hey Java, I have private health insurance. I pay around $220 per month." Health insurance is like a word, a term. It doesn't mean that much in its own, right? Very, very different health insurances. What's your deductible? What's your coverage? What's your copay? What's your out of pocket? Like, yeah, very, very wide varying health insurances out there. So it's hard to compare one to one what they are. Pre-existing conditions matter a lot. Yeah. Let me try to get caught up in chat. How long until Celebrations packs are $10 plus, and when are we grading Celebrations packs for PSA 10 tendies? I would think it's quite a ways away from being $10 plus. I've never looked at the pop reports for Celebrations, but it's kind of boring with just one pack art for the set, right? And I say this as someone who likes the set a lot, but given that there's only one pack art, it's not like a crazy good one. It's not bad though. I mean, it's got the Pikachu anniversary logo on it. They probably go for too much money, like anything else. Of that nature. Weedle's Warehouse, good times en route for sure. Orlando's going to be a blast. I do not believe they've opened tables for Charlotte. They have opened and closed because they've sold out tables for Dallas, though. Alex asked, was the trophy you recently sold the one you bought at Worlds 19? And if so, did you buy it directly from the winner? I own the one I bought in 19. I bought the third place from the winner of the third place trophy. And I do not have that listed anywhere. Theoretically, if somebody came to me with the right number, I would sell it. But I sold the number 1 from 2014 that I purchased from the winner themselves, but online, like through Facebook. I found them and bought from them. So that one I did buy directly from the winner, the number 1 from 2014. However, not like in person as I did with the 19 Pikachu. Let's see. Squeaks in the chat. You missed it. Now Squeaks just admitted he never clicked the bell. While I'm talking about clicking the bell, there's a subscribe button down there. If you enjoy the content, feel free to subscribe. If you enjoy the content, feel free to like the stream. Also, feel free to click that bell. That way you won't be like Squeaks, 43 minutes late because you didn't click the bell. Dan's love for Quaxley is something else. Section 71 welcomes any and all whatnot buyouts. Yeah, Cloud if you're listening. Travis going twice if you're listening. Feel free to come find us. Hit up Section 71 first. Go to Section 72nd. We should do a little competition. Whoever grosses the most money between Section 71 and 70, like the losers have to like buy the first round at the hotel bar on TradeNet or something. Can you post a list of cards you're selling at CAC Orlando so I can look to undercut you? Probably the live stream before I leave. I'll probably show exactly what I'm selling and exactly what I'm pricing at. So hopefully my cost basis is so low that nobody can undercut me. What do you think about PSA Portuguese cards like Altarts, SR? I don't have any experience with modern foreign cards, but having opened one of every box of English, base set aside from English, base set first edition, quite a bit smaller buyer pool, quite a bit more niche, but there could be margin there. That's all I can really say. A lot more niche, going to be a lot smaller market, but there's potentially room for profit. It's all about what you're buying and what the buying pool is and all that. Yeah, section versus section competition. I like the idea of that. Mr. War says we lose. I'm bringing absolute trash. Is channel membership tax deductible? I'm not a tax attorney, nor am I a CPA. Consult your CPA. If you do this full time as a business, there's probably a pretty reasonable argument to be made that YouTube Premium, that channel memberships, Patreon memberships, things like that, tax deductible. Again, that's not advice. Consult with your own, but there's probably a good argument for it if you're full time, right? When I was a chemical engineer, I mean, some amount of professional subscriptions, some amount of professional like magazines, buying things like that, some amount of that, not unlimited amounts, but some amount of that could be deducted for sure. 6.1 billion printed Pokemon cards in a year. Which one should I buy? 9.1 billion. I think he had the typo on the numpad. 6 and 9 are right by each other. So 9.1. Yeah, Roaring Skies was weird. I think it was reprinted after it already had dropped out of rotation, but I'm not positive. Maybe there were more than one. I mean, I was there when it was happening, but yeah, that was pretty wild. That fell down hard. I don't think 150 is possible unless a very high percentage of reprint is only Evolving Skies. When people say they don't think something is possible, I don't understand. I don't even understand that statement. Like, obviously it's possible. You can say I don't think it will happen. I don't think it will happen. It's 100% possible though. It is factually possible. It probably, I agree. Like there are reasonable. It's a reasonable likelihood that it won't go sub 150, but it's not possible. It can't happen. It won't happen. Like, I don't understand these. Thoughts on Mr. Beast naming a mountain on Antarctica after his sponsor Shopify? I did hear that. I actually watched that video where he was trapped in Antarctica for 24 hours or something. I never used to watch Mr. Beast content, but I'm watching a little bit more of it now. That video wasn't great to me. I mean, it's interesting to see what mainstream content looks like and how it performs, but that one wasn't that great to me. I wonder how much he got paid by Shopify. Probably more than I'll gross in the next decade. Hey, Dad. Hey, Kai. How's it going, son? Um, 150 is possible if Pokemon Center sells booster boxes at retail. Yeah, that's actually a good point. 144, 64, whatever it is. One, I mean, if on the secondary market it's going for 200 and the Pokemon Center drops any, it'll just get botted. So like, yeah, but some amount will be sold there, right? Any amount that goes to Walmart, any amount that goes to, they don't get booster boxes, but the packs at least will be going for retail at retail stores on Pokemon Center. So Kai called me dad, and then he said, my dad is Mr. Beast. So I guess I am Mr. Beast by the transitive property. Pokestone said he worked with Mr. Beast. Yeah, and it's absolutely possible they don't reprint Evolving Skies booster boxes. It's possible they could reprint double, like, however much Evolving Skies they printed, whether it's 1 billion cards or 2 billion cards or 4 billion cards, they could double the print run of Evolving Skies and not make one new booster box. They could put it all for the next decade if they wanted to. It would be insane, but they could put it in tins, boxes. They could do ETBs again. They could do sleeve boosters. They could literally reprint double the amount of Evolving Skies in existence, double the amount of Moonbreons in existence, without creating one more booster box. I don't know that they would. I'm not saying that that's the most likely scenario, but it's absolutely possible. We'll see what, I mean, the time will tell, right? Time will tell. Jake trademarked this format and now you've stolen it. I've never seen Jake with the comments on screen. Innovate, right? I'm not stealing. I'm just borrowing. He can have it back anytime he wants. PSA 10 Celebrations pack sold for $175 yesterday. Man. Sorry if I missed this, but do you think this wave of reprints for Sword Shield Block will be the last? No. We have a set that just came out a month or two ago. Historically speaking, sets are in print for 2 years. So that's where I come from. Sets are in print for approximately 2 years. I would be pretty surprised if this was the last reprint of Sword and Shield Block, because I would think that a year and a half from now, we'll get like our final print of Silver Tempest. We'll see though. We'll see what happens with it. Anyone else going to Kansas City? That's the one I've heard talked least about. Retrospect saying Section 71 is way printier. Let's see. Basic Caster's working on his deck for Water Tower. I am going to do a video soon about MetaZoo's, I don't know if I'll get it done for this Saturday, but maybe next Saturday. Just talking about MetaZoo's tournament circuit and all that. And talking about one thing that's really interesting with the MetaZoo Towers and the Caster Cup, obviously the big prize pool. There might be like full-time MetaZoo players. I mean, it is actually plausible that if you devote enough time to it, you could make a full-time wage almost with how many tournaments they're doing for MetaZoo and what the prize pools are. A tournament capped to 128, I believe, and they're paying out, remind me basic, is it $20,000 or $25,000 to the winner? And then like $5,000 to the top X amount? I mean, your odds, just statistically speaking, your odds of placing in the money, I think top 32 get paid some amount. Obviously, there's travel costs, all that stuff. But there's going to be some people making bank in the MetaZoo scene, MetaZoo TCG scene. The Zard Hunter says, we have old school Pokemon, no way we lose. Is it going to be gross, though? Or is it going to be net? Because, like, while we were there in Denver, Nick bought a box for like $7,500, and then he turned around and flipped it like 5 minutes later for $8K. $8K is a massive number as far as gross goes, but his net was only $500 on that. I mean, only. That's a lot of money to make in 5 minutes, and he did great on that. But you could really pump up your numbers by selling a lot of super, super high price stuff for barely any profit, right? Family Plan 2 asks, how do you price low pop or pop 1 cards? However, like, people don't like this answer, but if I own a card that no one else in the world owns, I know how much I paid for it. I know how much it would cost me to get like a raw mint copy. So look at how much you paid for it and how much you paid to grade it. Look at how much it would cost to get a raw mint copy. Try to theorize, like, what's the likelihood that you could replicate it? Certain cards, you get a pop 1, not like there's 100 mint copies staring out there to try to replace it and make it pop 2. Other cards are only pop 1 because no one else cares to grade them. More of a popularity report than a population report. So at the end of the day, though, you set the price. If a buyer wants to pay it or not, that's a different story. Literally, though, whatever you would take for it. I mean, if it's worth $1,000 to you, list it for $1,000 or best offer. If no one decides to pay it, well, you don't sell it then. At the end of the day, only seller and buyer can price it, right? People don't like that answer. They want to know. I mean, you can look at like relative comps. Say it's in a certain set. Look at other hollows in that set. Is there another pop 1 hollow in that set that recently sold that's kind of analogous? And if there is, and say it sold for 100 and you'd rather get 500, you don't have to sell it. Like, one thing that throws me off with comps, people get really hung up on them. And they act. I've made a standalone video and I've talked about it a million times. These things don't have a market price. You don't have to sell any of it for any amount of money. All there is that data points. So if you find an analogous card which gives you a data point, if it feels too low, price it however you want to. Someone might come in your DMs. They might go like, oh hey, this last sold for this. Match it. You don't have to. Like, I get frustrated people all the time on my eBay every day. Every day I have people messaging me on eBay. Hey, here's the last comp. Whether it's low pop or not is kind of just a universal thing. And you don't have to sell for it. It's like I'm lowest on the market on most things. If you're pop 1, you're by definition, you're the lowest on the market. You're the only one on the market. So price it however you feel is right to you. Like if I don't get 500 for this, I'm just going to keep it. Do that. That's the way that I go about it personally. See... Pokestones in Nick's section. I'm totally up to doing some kind of a bet. Yeah, Squeaks Game World says Roaring was 500 a box and fell to 88. Why couldn't 350 Evolving Skies fall to 90? It absolutely can. Well, you can think it's unlikely and it's reasonable to, like, there can be reasonable arguments for why it will and won't get reprinted. But when people say, oh, it's absolutely not, it's definitely not. Silver borders, they're never going to print the yellow border card again. MSRP went up. They're never going to print a lower MSRP product ever again. You can't say never like that. I mean, you can, but it just makes you... That's the thing. You can make a bold claim. You can say there's no way they're going to reprint Evolving Skies. And you might be right. You made a wrong call. You made a bad call. You used faulty logic or no logic whatsoever. But I think a lot of people out there get overconfidence in making some of these bold calls with zero basis, and then they end up right, and then they think they like know something. Same thing happens in traditional investments. People spend 2020 picking stocks on Robinhood, and everything is going up, so they make money, and then they think that they're like, oh, I'm going to be a day trader now. Confirmation bias can be dangerous. People can get really inflated egos, really inflated senses of their ability to predict these things. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to comment on. Mr. Walrus says, can you bring your Naruto cards to Orlando? Looking to buy a few. I probably will put together a couple binders to bring to Orlando. And I was thinking about taking some Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z, DBS. I'll probably put together some kind of a non-Pokemon binder from that big binder collection that I bought to sell some stuff. So, Mr. Walrus, if you have any specific cards that you saw in my videos, feel free to hit me up, either for Orlando or for just whenever. They're literally 41 binders are still behind my monitor. I have a table set up behind my desk, 41 binders on that from the collection. The next couple of weeks, I intend to get back to doing something with those. because I really need to. They're just taking up a lot of space. Let's see. Do you fear your son growing up and thinking you have a secret life after seeing your video of you calling Kai another man's son? Oh, Mr. Walrus. Always always keeping the chat lively. I do not fear that. I think he'll understand the situation once I talk to him about it. Squeaks Game World giving us some historical knowledge on the timing of Roaring Skies. Reprint was confirmed in January and it rotated out that August. So there was still a decent bit of time on rotation. They might only reprint Battle Styles this time around. It would be hilarious. Like a week from now, 2 weeks from now, whenever we're supposedly going to hear about the reprints, we're going to get like Battle Styles, Chilling Reign. We're going to get like the 3 or 4 lowest, oldest sets in the Sword and Shield block. Something like that. That'd be funny. Where do I find Pack Fresh first edition base set cards that I can grade as 10s? I do not know, but if you find out, let me know. DM it, don't put it in the live chat. Why did Gen 3 have 2 pseudo legendaries and all other gens only have 1? Gen 3 the best gen, seems that way. I'm a Gen 1, Gen 2 guy. Crystal Yellow, where it's at for me. Yeah, Pokemon. I don't care if my neighbor's house sold for 500K. Mine's worth 65 million. You could ask, that's where I said, you can ask whatever you want, but if no one ultimately pays it, then clearly it's not worth that. Like, and that's the thing. Like, say Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, for whatever reason, want one specific house in a neighborhood, and say they pay someone $5 million. That's where comps. Holding everything to comps isn't reasonable either. Say your neighbor's house sells for $5 million. I'll give you a different scenario. Say Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, for whatever reason, they want your house in particular. They lure you out of your house for $5 million. That doesn't mean your neighbor can now sell his for $5 million. Just because one data point, that's why I don't like the market price is this because that's what it last sold for, and you need to match that. I have a lot of people that get really mad at me because I don't like match last auction. And I mean, a lot of people message me on it. I don't really know. I mean, some people do get mad. They like get mad. They go back and forth in messages, or they just say like, yeah, good luck with that. But yeah, data points largely irrelevant to future data points, right? Like every transaction is just a data point. Take it into account, but at the end of the day, you put it up for what you want to put it up for. It's either going to sell or it's not. And that's all you can really do with it. What's the chance of regrading a fair PSA 9 with 2 very small dots of whitening to a PSA 10, 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000? It's impossible to estimate. I would think significantly lower than 1 in 100. Extremely significantly lower than 1 in 1,000. But yeah, you can't just put a number to it. What, 1 in 10, 1 in 20, somewhere in there? I don't know. It's literally the foray I had into slab optimization went poorly, but it was mostly lumped into 1 or 2 submissions. So did I get a bad day? Were my 9s just 9s? Whatever. I don't know. Wow, first place is 50K for every tower. First place is 50K. That's wild. So first place 50, second 25, third 15, fourth to eighth 3K, 9th to 32nd is $1,000. There, as far as I understand, maybe it's only for the water tower, or I don't know if it's confirmed for every tower. 128 entries is it. So 1 out of 4 people that enter the MetaZoo tower will get at least $1,000. That's wild. That's really wild. I need to look into that more, and I will make a video on it because I think it's really interesting, just the dynamic that might bring to the TCG space. How do you feel about Brilliant Stars boosters on Pokemon Center versus TCG player pricing? Agree with Rudy's recent thoughts on Pokemon. I watch most of Rudy's Pokemon videos. I might have missed some. If someone wants the TLD army in chat, TLDW, I guess, in chat, what Rudy's recent thoughts have been. A lot of what he says, though, he says some really crazy stuff from time to time. And how much of it is the Rudy character? How much of it does actual human Rudy believe in it? I don't know. But a lot of times he's like, for me, way too, this is definitely not going to happen. This is definitely going to happen. I think I remember, I forget what sets in particular, but I think he named off a few sets that he said would almost assuredly not get a reprint, that I wasn't on the same page with him. I didn't really believe it. So yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know if you have anything else in particular you're wondering about. I guess ask me more specifically, and then I can answer better. But Brilliant Stars boosters on Pokemon Center. TCG player pricing is around 180, I think. Are they still available on Pokemon Center? Let me check. Yeah, some of that is just in the Pokemon space. TCG player is a more ubiquitous website, right? A lot more people are just familiar with going to TCG player to buy their stuff. So it's not horribly surprising that Brilliant Stars would be 144 on Pokemon Center while simultaneously being 180 on TCG player. There is a limit of 6, so that's one consideration. I can only go by 6 at a time on Pokemon Center. I can go buy 60 of them on TCG player. So we live in a very unoptimized space. We live in a very illiquid, non-fungible type marketplace. So it's not that surprising. And there's always big amounts of platform arbitrage available. Yeah, I've got Mountain Dew and I've got the red spicy lights on. Mertz notes. PSA pop reports can be misleading. Just got PSA 10 on black and white Zekrom Full Art, and labels now say gray background or black background. I have gray and pop is 43, but older label is 559. Yeah, PSA's pop report isn't infallible. There are definitely instances where they have, I I only own one anymore, but the Full Art Pikachu trophies, they butchered the PSA pop report for those. Some of them have trainer number 1, world championships, blah, blah, blah. And then the same, like I had some cards that were pop 1, but they were graded under another database, under another like set name. And there was pop 1 in one set, pop 1 in the other set. When you're getting into cards like that, pop isn't highly relevant, but that's a common theme around the PSA. Not common, but it's a reoccurring thing around the PSA pop report with different like niches, I guess. Hey Dan, would you recommend any other services besides a spreadsheet program to keep track of purchases and sales? Big goal for 2023 is to have better organization. Sheets, Google Sheets is all I use. Excel, used to be Excel. I don't even have Microsoft Office anymore on my computer. I used to have it on my old laptop that I got it through college, and I had like a lifetime license. I'm not going to pay a monthly fee though for Microsoft Office 365. So I literally just use Google Sheets. What's my favorite dark Pokemon card? I don't know if you mean dark type, like Umbreon, or if you mean like dark as in dark Charizard or something like that. But I guess the Umbreon from the original Moonbreon from Neo Discovery, that one's really cool. That one would be up there as far as like dark type. Neo Destiny, Dark Tyranitar. I really like Tyranitar quite a bit, being a Gen 1, Gen 2 guy. Gen 2 obviously for Tyranitar. But Dark Charizard's cool. There's a lot of the commons and uncommons that have pretty cool arts too, but it's been so long since I've flipped through those binders or like engaged with those cards too much. Is there a lazier way to sell something than to post taking offers? I don't like whoever's initiating the deal. I think should set a price, right? Like if I'm buying something, I don't say just buying, DM me. I say I'm buying this for this price. PSA 9 of this price. If I'm selling something, I say, yeah, I listed on eBay. I have to put a price. You can't put a post on eBay. Here's the item I have for sale. DM me. Yeah, I like when people put a price. Elliot Hearn says, Dan, I sold my first lab. You would be proud. I am very proud. Jacob said I'd only be proud if it was a bag. It was a 2017 Battle Festa. That's a solid card. I have no idea what those go for, but that's a pretty solid card. $400. I'm happy with that in this buyer's market. Solid. Gotta go to Dallas for that fire barbecue. Can't wait. George Bot says, should really treat Rudy as an entertainment channel rather than sound advice. Sure, he's intelligent, but his channel isn't where he shares the serious stuff. Yeah, Rudy's definitely playing a character on his channel. I try to be the real me on YouTube. Definitely the most candid you'll ever find me is over beers at a Collecticon on a Friday or Saturday night. The most direct, the most true to myself me will be found in person at various events, right? Because I guess you can't talk 100% as yourself on YouTube. I don't play a character by any means, but there's certain things you say a little differently. There's certain things you can't say directly and all that stuff. But Rudy, I've never met him in real life. I would imagine, though, that his character is quite a bit different. The character he plays on YouTube compared to his real life personality and his takes and who he is. That's my take. Maybe he's the same exact person in real life. I don't know, but I would assume he's playing a bit of a character. Mr. Walrus followed Umu, I guess, after he reacted to some of my content. I don't feel shame. I didn't subscribe myself. I do get some in my suggested feed, though, after watching a couple of his videos, because he reacted to my magic opening. Will Pokemon misread the upcoming downturn economy and overprint to demand an upcoming set? They absolutely could. I have no idea. They absolutely could. There is absolutely danger that Pokemon could reprint. There's danger that the economy could significantly go down in the coming years. There's danger that Pokemon demand could just wane in the coming years. And if and when it does, like when the 1999-2000 bubble popped, I didn't watch the video yet, but I saw a post going around Discord of 2002 booster box prices. And anyone who's in my Patreon, shout out to the Patreon link below, I did a Zoom deep dive in our monthly meeting on historical booster box prices. In the 2002 era, boxes were selling for like $30 to $50. And I believe Rusty commented on this in his video. If and when, and I'm not predicting this, I'm not saying we're going to get there, but if and when it ever happened, print runs are nearly as high as they were back in 1999 era. It could get dark. It could get ugly. The last time we had a bubble pop so broadly and Pokemon nearly died for a span of a decade, booster boxes went down to $30. On a long enough timeline, that absolutely, I mean, it's almost a certainty if you create the timeline long enough, right? If you go 100 years from now, do I think Pokemon will be a thing in 100 years? If I had to bet one way or the other, probably not. And at some point, I mean, maybe it will be super slow and gradual, and maybe it will never be so drastic. But yeah, at some point, I would think booster boxes will again go significantly sub 80. I'm not calling for that anytime soon, but there's some percent. There's some percent there, right? And I don't think people take into account that into their forecasts. Or I think people's forecasts are just Pokemon has always gone up. Every box is higher than it's ever been or higher than it was released. But 2002 existed. 2002 happened. You should watch Rusty's latest video. You should look at the post going around it. I'll just find the post in Discord. I'm not going to share Discord. That's a little dangerous, but let me see if I could find it. Prices in 2002, I believe. If somebody has the image that was going around, or maybe I can just find it on Rusty's video. Let me see if I can pull up a still image of Rusty's video. But I think the better logic than every box is more expensive today than it was at release. I think the better logic is looking over the entire history of Pokemon and realizing that there was a 10-year span. There was a 10-year span that cards were actually going for significantly less. He's just using the Wayback Machine. So this is exactly what I did in the Patreon deep dive. I guess I can just do that as well. I'm going all over the place here. Sorry, but yeah, let me pull up the Wayback Machine, Hills Wholesale Gaming, and just show you like when you invest in booster boxes, when you invest in any kind of a product, you shouldn't say today everything is higher than it's ever, or higher than when it released. You should say, of our 25-year span, 10 of the years were pretty rough. 10 of the years were really rough, actually. And you can't really do, oh, well, 10 years were bad, 15 years were better, so there's a 60% chance that everything's going to be good. You can't really go like that, but you should just be aware of history. You should be aware of the fact that there was a multi-year span where things were really, really bad, and it could happen again. People don't work that way, though. People don't want to take into account the possibility for like the negatives. Trying to get this pulled up. Sorry, I didn't come prepared. But yeah, like right here. Let me get it shared. So here's Hills Wholesale Gaming, and what I did was I went to Hills Wholesale Gaming. I went to the Wayback Machine, and I looked at where am I right now? I'm in January of 2004. January of 2004. Here's base set 1 booster boxes. The same base set 1 booster box that's $15,000 today. The same one that was $40,000, $30,000 at the peak. It was $40. And I don't know their sales rates. I don't know their sell-through rates. I can almost guarantee you these things were not selling hardly at all. $40 base set 1 booster box 5 years after release, and it wasn't selling. It wasn't selling well. That was not selling at the rate that Evolving Skies is selling for $300 today. I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon. On a long enough timeline, though, it happened once, it'll happen again. And people like, yeah, all these, the argument, every box today is higher than at release. That's not like people say it, like people think it's a guarantee, and that's scary. It's scary when everyone thinks it's a guarantee, because that's when things are at higher risk of imploding. I think that's when, if everyone's in it for the money and everyone's investing and no one's collecting and no one actually wants this stuff. And I don't think we're there. Again, I'm not making the argument that we're there, that everything is going to crash, doom and gloom. I'm just saying that like this needs to be in your projection. This needs to be some percent. This is the downside risk, right? That was a long answer there. Let me, yeah, right here, actually. Pokey Martin says, who else bought $40 base set boxes from Hill's TCG website? Not many people, because no one was buying them then. People were buying them. I don't know what they were at release, but retail was about 100 to 110 at release. More people were buying them in 99 to 2000 than were buying them 4 years later for 60% less of the price. Same thing with, more people care about buying Charizard UPC at release for 200, pre-ordering for 200. Everyone was into it. Everyone was going for it. Big money, can't go wrong, no whammies. And now it's 100, now it's 90. People aren't talking about it. People don't want it. If the price goes down 50%, people don't want it. If it triples, people want all of it. It's a good investment now because it's gone up already. Like, people are kind of crazy on that front for me. But I'm gonna try to like turbo go through chat and catch up. 5 minutes till quitting time. So if you add any new questions I might not get to, I'm gonna try to catch up right now. I appreciate everyone hanging out today. See. Echo, how's it going? Are you currently buying any gold/rainbow singles in bulk? I'm not buying any singles in bulk. The only ones I did semi-recently, I guess, were Gold Star Greninja. I did forget. I did buy a few hundred each of a couple of the Celebrations promos that I got these pins from. So I got the Hydreigon C. This was more just to the fact that I got them so cheap because the guy that I was buying the Celebrations packs from, he broke down the product. I believe the Celebrations lunchboxes. Mimikyu. I bought like 300 of each of these because that's what he had. And I was paying like 40% of TCG player price or something, which is like less than $1 on each of them, and then light Toxicity. So those are the only singles I've bought in the past few months. in kind of bulk, like a few hundred each. In case anyone is wondering, Daniel after 4 beers still says not financial advice and not tax advice, because that's the real me. Again, I'm not playing a character on YouTube. I will do the same things in in person. Have you graded any PSA ones? If you have, which cards? I don't know what this is in response to. Problem with being 15 minutes behind live chat. Sorry. Does he say this is financial advice after 10 beers? How do you think the hobby will do in a depression? Poorly. I think I've heard some people say in a depression, people will still do certain things. It'll be more affordable than like going out to eat. It'll be more affordable than going on big vacations. So it'll do better. And maybe to an extent that's true. But like in a legitimate depression, in a real like bad depression, I think everything will go down significantly. I think it will be overall very, very bad. History always repeats itself, right? I'm assuming that's a joke. When do you think we'll see that 10-year valley again? It doesn't always repeat itself, but I guess from time to time it can or may. I have no idea. Will we see a 10-year valley like that? If we do, I mean, we might see something along the same lines, but it might not be 10 years. It might be similar. I think some people get too set on the fact that history is bound to repeat itself, and they try to like take from history and, oh, well, the average recession lasts this many months and the average drop is this percent. And those rules, I mean, it's a good idea to have like a general historical rule of thumb, but when you try to apply that further as if it's going to be gospel, that becomes dangerous. Because ultimately Pokemon could have died in the mid 2000s. It didn't. But like Beanie Babies, I mean, say like over 100 years, I think Pokemon might fail at some point. And if it does, if you start buying Evolving Skies boxes at 40, 4 years from now, and it's ultimately going to die 10 years later, they'll be worth nothing. Clearly in hindsight's 2020. Hindsight, 2004 base set box was 40. 2020, it was 30,000. Just because if you take that as gospel and say we go into a future 5 years from now where Evolving Skies is $40, I don't think this is going to happen whatsoever. But say you did, you buy a pallet of it for $40 a box, assuming it's going back to 30,000, like base set did, that you're going to have a bad time, I think. It is just what I'm trying to say. Yeah, Hill's website is hilarious because a lot of websites, when you go to the Wayback Machine, if you go to Pokemon Center, Wayback Machine, the website is crazy different. Hill's is exactly the same. It's hilarious. Base set was like, not 60. I believe it was $2.99 a pack, which would be about 108. It should have been about 108 on release. 107.64 or whatever it would have been. But $2.99 was the retail, if I remember correctly. On release. Yeah, that guy had a good aluminum haul breaking down those lunchboxes. This man with Cardinal Gaming. Oh yeah, shout out. Let me shout out Cardinal Gaming as I'm about to end the stream. I did get in my exclusive Cardinal Gaming merch. Make sure you go check out cardinalgaming.com. He's got these beautiful hoodies. I think it was $25. You cannot go wrong. $25 there. That invest now. Financial advice. Invest now. Cardinal Gaming hoodies at $25. If they don't go up, worst case scenario, you're going to stay warm in the winter, right? You're going to stay warm in the fall, whatever. But yeah, Mason Berry says this man was giving disclaimers in casual conversations after 30 foam beers in Swami's backyard. Man, good times. Absolutely. Shout out to Mason Berry and Cardinal Gaming. I feel the mindset of only wanting to buy when something is high and neglect when something is low is a common trend in the Pokemon space. It's quite fascinating to understand. Jones effect and swing. Yeah, it's kind of scary. 110 people watching. Definitely a great live stream. I really appreciate everyone. I do have family stuff to do tonight. Family time just started 1 minute ago. I'm running a little bit into overtime. But yeah, we're going to get pizza and wings for dinner. Going to hang out with the in-laws. So I will be having to end stream soon. Gonna try catching up on chat. Hearing your analysis of Pokemon versus MetaZoo is so wild to me. Pokemon, we can, I'm going to spill the beans here. Shout out to our next special guest on, not tomorrow's Poke Flips. It's Nick and I, but I'm going to spill the beans one day early. Squeaks is going to be our next special guest 2 weeks from tomorrow on Poke Flip. So I'm really looking forward to that. Squeaks, we can talk about, if you want to. We can keep it Pokemon if you want to. We can also get into a little bit my analysis of Pokemon versus my analysis of MetaZoo. MetaZoo, everything I say about Pokemon, all the disclaimers I give, to a much greater extent, MetaZoo is inherently way more risky. Clearly I'm buying a large portion of the print run, but I'm selling out of a lot of it via singles too. I have hundreds of boxes of UFO left with no cost basis. I've gotten all my money back. Same thing for Seance through selling singles. Clearly, I if and when MetaZoo fails in the next few years, in hindsight, it will have been a bad play to do what I'm doing. But I think MetaZoo can survive a few years from now, and I think if it does, I'll be handsomely rewarded for my early engagement, involvement, partnership, all that stuff. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Base set was 35 in Rusty's video. Could have been just a couple years prior, but I can't get into any of these longer questions. But I'll have to end stream now. I appreciate everyone hanging out. Mason says what? Yeah, Squeaks, bullish on Squeaks being on Poke Flips. Looking forward to that one. We've had Mason before. I'm assuming that's what Mason's reaction is too. But yeah, I better get going now. As always, I appreciate everyone